Okay, this is group 24, and this is our UI of our application. And let's just test our applications. First, let's just simply click on the run button and start sending in from the sensor data. And there is a virtual sensor, and can simulate uh, the the status of the cell phone and sending in the sensor data. And if we click on the run button for multiple times, it just the application just doesn't crash. And if we click on stop, it just stop. And if we click run again, it just resume the picture, resume the curves. Okay, right now we have already generated our sensor data. After we click on the upload button, you actually upload to the corresponding website. Here we can see and refresh the page, and our database file is here, and we download it and use a database browser, and you can see, and as you can see, it's our database and the corresponding created table, and the corresponding data here, and as required, 4 columns. First is timestamp and XYZ. And actually, it can download from the corresponding website as well. Here we simply click on the download button. It shows a static curve of the last 10 seconds of the sensor data. And we can actually change the patient name. It's editable. And select on the group radio group. And as you can see, our in our Android device monitor, we can see the corresponding database save uploading and the download file folder as required. It is right in the storage, SD card, Android data, and then we can see this is the generated data, and this is the download file. This is Shibinzhen. I'm mainly in charge with the main activity about Java. And the first onCreate function is just simply create everything we need, and stop. These two functions just stop and start the sensor service. This function is monitor run is simply implement run ball to handle tasks. And this do plot function is actually plot curves on the canvas. And this concatenate table name function is just create a table of the corresponding patient. And this onDestroy function determines the application. And onClick just simply switch on different functions of the corresponding button. And if run button is hit, we simply call onRun function, and we first generate table name of corresponding patient and start a database helper, and then start the sensor service and to collect all the sensor data of that patient if that patient is using that phone, and change the status of running is true, and just simply refreshing the plot. If the stop button is clicked, we simply set everything to 0 and invalidate the canvas and stop the sensor service. And if upload button is clicked, we first check the database and then check the network connectivity. If the network is okay and database is not exist, we simply start to establish a HTTP connection to the desired web server and build connection between them. This is a function is actually referred to this website here. And then we start create a data stream and start to write data. And then after we finished uploading the data, we just flash and close the connection. If download button is clicked, we simply we first stop at any running tasks. Simply call onStop function and then check the network connectivity just as before, and then start the download task from network. And we first establish a HTTP connector to the server, and then start to download the file to the desired download the file path, and then copy the download base to desired location so that we can reload database and draw it of a desired patient, since we create a corresponding table for that patient if we update the edit task on the UI. And then simply draw a static curve on canvas. This is actually the last of 10 seconds data.
This is In from group 24. I'm responsible for to write the SQL helper. And you can see here, first we create a database schema and has four columns, timestamp, X, Y, and Z. And first we, for the SQL helper function, first we get the absolute path for the SD card, and then we create the database folder based on the instructions. And then we check whether the parent database folder is exists. If it doesn't exist, then we create that one, and then we open or create this database. And for the create table function, we first construct the query, and this one is for the create table if it doesn't exist. And then we use the database to begin the transaction, execute the SQL, and then end the transaction.
Hello, my name is Xu Lu, and I'm in group 24. I run the function sensor helper, which could provide data from the virtual sensor to the database. First, we need to get a system service on create function, and then we need to achieve get table names from intent, new SQL helper and database to achieve write data into our database. The next function achieve register listener and unregistered listener. After that, in sensor changed function, we need to add new record when we change our data, and the class add database achieve to put new data into our database.